Pretty noticeable change in our weather today as rain pushes through southwest Florida. I'm tracking it and timing it out for you in your first alert forecast on the 2.
Sexual misconduct allegations expanding again this morning. A national morning show anchor off the job apologizing for his behavior.
Island Park residents taking their flooding concerns straight to Lee County leaders.
But you can see the flames and everything coming out. It looked like an engine fire.
Only NBC2 has the moments a family is rescued at sea. NBC2 News Today starts right now.
Live, the news you count on. NBC2 News Today.
6 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. Good morning. Thanks for watching NBC2 News Today. I'm Rachel Pierce.
And I'm Clay Miller. Good morning, everybody. We'll take a look. Showers already moving into southwest Florida this morning. Let's go to meteorologist Jason Dunning, who's tracking the rain. These look to be very light, correct, Jason?
Yeah, most of this is pretty light. Occasionally we'll have a burst of heavy rain. You can see some shades of yellow south of Lake Okeechobee and a few of these over portions of Lehigh Acres. This time yesterday we talked about how quick of a turnaround it was going to be today, and that is what is indeed taking shape here as we track rain edging into parts of Lee County this morning, moving to the northwest at about 15 miles per hour, so pretty fast pace. And here's the view over Lehigh Acres, mostly from Lee Boulevard southward down through Alabama Road South, Homestead Road South, and also expanding over central sections of Lehigh Acres. We're going to continue to see some of this light to moderate rain move over Lehigh and then continue to build west over portions of Fort Myers up through Suncoast Estates, San Carlos Park, basically out toward US 41. So here's an updated timeline. Gateway in about 15 minutes. We'll see some of this light rain moving your direction. The Forum, Arborwood closer to 6:30. River Hall around 6:25. The Veranda area around 6:33. Olga out toward the Gulf Coast Town Center by around 6:35, and then closer to places like downtown Fort Myers, Cape Coral around 7 to 8 o'clock this morning. So we're going to have some areas of patchy, mostly light rain as we head through the first part of the day. Not really expecting much in the way of thunderstorm activity. More cloud cover compared to what we saw yesterday, and temperatures still up there to around 78 degrees by 12 o'clock. A blend of sun and clouds this afternoon. Rain chances pretty isolated for the second half of the day. And then tomorrow's weather looking pretty quiet up and down the Florida Peninsula. But this is what we're watching to the west. A Thanksgiving Day storm system that's going to push toward the Florida Gulf Coast. What you need to know for our changing weather here over the next few days. We'll go over that together. Coming up in your forecast on the 2s at 6:12.
Good morning, Southwest Florida, and the roads in Lee County are looking great right now. Delays are under a minute at this time, and no issues reported by the Sheriff's Office or Highway Patrol. If you do see anything on the roads that I'm not letting you know about, send me a tweet at Amanda TV News or NBC2 Traffic. That's your NBC2 Traffic Alert.
Time right now is 6:02. A lot to talk about on this Tuesday morning, and breaking overnight, several deputies were on scene of a possible attempt to steal a semi-truck in Fort Myers. Our crews watched as a K-9 unit combed the area on East Street near I-75 in Fort Myers. NBC2 crews saw deputies dusting a semi-truck for fingerprints while a helicopter flew above the area. The owner of the truck company that was doing some repairs on the semi, or was going to do that, told NBC2 he saw the suspect in the truck, then saw him get out and get into a Ford Excursion and take off. We're working to find out if anyone was taken into custody.
Sexual assault allegations has CBS This Morning co-anchor Charlie Rose off the air. The decision to suspend Rose comes after a Washington Post article where 8 women accused the veteran journalist of sexual harassment. Rose is a co-host of 60 Minutes and CBS This Morning. He's also the host of his own show on PBS. While Rose says he does not believe all the allegations against him are accurate, in a statement to the Post, Rose apologized, saying he, quote, behaved insensitively at times. In that same statement, Rose also makes a point of highlighting his 45 years in journalism, during which he says he was an advocate for the careers of the women he worked with.
And a new woman has come forward with an allegation against Democratic Senator Al Franken of Minnesota. A woman claims that Franken grabbed her on the backside when they posed for a photo together in 2010. This is the photo in question. The accusation comes days after a radio host accused the lawmaker of forcibly kissing and groping her more than a decade ago. This latest accusation is the first levied against Franken, alleged to have occurred when he was an elected official. Franken says he does not remember posing for the photo.
Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and was asked what should happen to her colleague, Senator Al Franken.
People are calling for Al Franken to step down. Do you think he should?
So, look, I was just enormously disappointed about this. I knew Senator Franken long before he was Senator Franken and his wife Franny. These allegations are serious, and women have a right to be heard and listened to on this.
Colbert continued to ask her about her position on GOP Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore and whether he should be expelled if elected.
We're not there yet.
Where are we?
We're still pre-election, and I think we have a really good candidate on the Democratic side, and the people of Alabama need to get out there, and I hope they support that Democratic candidate.
And we've reached out to Congressman Francis Rooney to find out what his position is on Roy Moore. His office gave us this statement saying he would like to see Roy Moore elected, then resign so the seat could be filled by a more acceptable Republican candidate.
6:05, at least one person is recovering this morning after a propane truck caught fire in Oklahoma. You can see on your screen big flames there shooting from the back of that truck, which created small grass fires next to the highway. Officials say the truck was on the interstate when it was hit by another vehicle. Crews did manage to keep the fires under control. A medical helicopter did take an injured person to the hospital. No word on their condition.
This morning, there's a new mayor in charge of Cape Coral. Joe Coviello and 3 new council members were sworn in Monday night. Right now, the office of mayor is still under investigation by FDLE. The Coviello says he does not want that investigation to overshadow his efforts.
We're turning the page to a new chapter. It's a fresh start. We've got a good group of people coming in.
Citizens hope the new faces mean a new and better future for Cape Coral.
This morning, Collier County Supervisor of Elections Office will be testing its voting machines for logic and accuracy before this year's Everglades City election. This will take place at 10 a.m. at their office on Enterprise Avenue in Naples. 1 week later, on the 28th, the county will have its canvassing board meeting. The public is welcome to observe.
New this morning, a federal judge has permanently blocked President Donald Trump's executive order on sanctuary cities. The order would cut funding from cities that do not fully cooperate with U.S. immigration authorities. Late last night, a judge rejected the administration's argument that the executive order applies only to a small pot of money. A judge also said the president cannot set new conditions on spending approved by Congress. New from overnight, investigators hope a $20,000 reward will help find the person or people responsible for ambushing 2 Border Patrol agents. Early Sunday, 36-year-old Rogelio Martinez and his partner got a call about activity near the border. Investigators say the agents were attacked on the drug smuggling route and Martinez was killed. Now, President Donald Trump is citing the death as a reason to build the wall along the United States border with Mexico.
We need it. That's rough territory. That's where the drugs are coming in. A lot of things are happening along the border, the southern border, and we're going to straighten it out.
Way too young, and he was a loving person.
Martinez's partner suffered traumatic head injuries and is in the intensive care unit in stable condition.
6:07, a University of North Florida student is appealing his suspension after allegedly posting a threatening message on social media. Ken Parker is a self-proclaimed white nationalist. On Monday, UNF students marched and made their voices heard outside of the suspension appeal hearing. Students say Parker has threatened anyone who stands against white supremacy. Members of the National Socialist Social Movement say that his latest post is not a threat to students.
You can't just go around kicking people out of school because of how they believe. It's not right, and it's un-American.
Parker is a Navy veteran and a one-time Grand Dragon with Jacksonville's Ku Klux Klan.
Nebraska has given the go-ahead to the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline. A state commission approved the project Monday, clearing the last regulatory hurdle to build the pipeline. Monday's decision came just days after a large oil leak on an existing portion of the pipeline in South Dakota. But the Nebraska Commission was banned by law to consider environmental risks because pipeline safety is a federal responsibility.
6:09, your Tuesday. A family swimming for their lives ahead in 16 minutes. Only NBC2 shows you the dramatic rescue at sea captured by a Cape Coral man.
Ahead in 8 minutes, putting the pressure on Lee County leaders to make sure this flooding doesn't happen again.
And NBC2 meteorologist Jason Dunning tracking some light rain moving through parts of southwest Florida this morning. He'll get you ready for your day and talk about Thanksgiving forecast as well. Your forecast on the 2s after the break.
Well, here at 612, rain is advancing through portions of Lee County this morning, coming from our inland areas and pushing west. So Lehigh Acres out toward LaBelle, along State Road 80, around Clewiston, Moorhaven, we've got some rain, a little bit heavier out closer to Lake Okeechobee, and mostly pretty light as we focus in on Lehigh Acres, around Veterans Park, Homestead Road, up through Lee Boulevard, closer to Williams Avenue, and pushing over towards Sunshine Boulevard up through Gunnery Road south. Some of this rain continuing to push to the west out closer to Fort Myers as we go through the next hour. Here's a great way to visualize that. I'm going to switch over to our Futurecast model, and this will give us a projection of the rain as we head through the next hour. So you can see most of that now over central parts of Lehigh Acres, over western Hendry County. Let's put it into motion, and you can see some of this rain stretches up and overlaps State Road 80, pushes out closer to Buckingham, Gateway, out toward the Forum, Fort Myers, and North Fort Myers, closer to the 7 o'clock hour, and then around 8 to 9 o'clock, some of this will push out closer to central Fort Myers and over sections of Cape Coral as well. Here's a breakdown of rain chances throughout the day today as we focus in on our rain through the morning hours. That's really where we're going to see the best chance of rain. You can see some of these cells continue to push in from Lake Okeechobee. We'll see the best chance of rain along and east of I-75. You're also going to notice more in the way of cloud cover as we head through the day today. And as we go through this evening and tonight, some isolated rain possible for those of us a little bit closer to the coast. Temperatures rebound back into the lower 80s. Humidity levels will be a little bit higher today. And as far as Wednesday's forecast is concerned, if you have any travel plans, looks nice and quiet for most of the country, and that includes southwest Florida. But notice what's developing back off toward the west. We're going to watch an area of weak low pressure develop in the Gulf of Mexico, and that is going to send us some rain for Thanksgiving and to Friday. And the change now is that this low is evolving a little bit slower. So it looks like the best rain chances will come late on Thanksgiving and overlapping into Friday. So here's your 7-day forecast. Our rain chances today around 30% down to 20% tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a pretty dry day. And then Thursday could see a few isolated showers Thanksgiving morning. The bulk of the rain will come in late in the day. Into Friday, some thunderstorms possible there. Really not expecting to see a big threat of severe weather. And look at the weekend outlook. Saturday and Sunday, once this storm system exits, we're going to see a push of cooler and much less humid air. It's going to feel great for the weekend, but we have some rain to get through here as we go through the next few days. That's your NBC2 First Alert forecast.
Traffic on NBC2 is sponsored by O'Brien Auto Park on the corner of Colonial and Metro. Or visit o'brieneasy.com.
Heads up, if you take McGregor Boulevard, crews are milling and paving the southbound lane of McGregor Boulevard from Poinciana Avenue to Morningside Drive. The road will be down to one lane from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. today and tomorrow. Detours are posted on side streets and flaggers will be out to direct traffic. However, expect delays and use US 41 as an alternate to avoid any slowdowns. That's your NBC2 traffic alert.
Highland Park residents are trying to prevent this type of flooding from happening again. This is video from our Sky2 drone. You can see the high waters left after heavy rains. This was back in August. Today, those community members, they're going to try and put pressure on Lee County.
Yeah, they want a solution for flooding and a better water management system for their neighborhood. This morning, they'll head to a county commission meeting with signs demonstrating the need to fight the floods.
And then all this week, they're asking other residents to act. The first step is to attend this morning's meeting. They're also asking people to mail a letter to each of the county commissioners and the county manager. Then they're pointing people to a website called islandparkcitizens.org. This is a group for those affected by the floods back in August, and then again with Hurricane Irma in September.
It's 6:16. With the remnants of Hurricane Irma still on the minds of many Southwest Florida homeowners, many fear their insurance policies are going to go up.
I'm retired, and any retired person should get some kind of a break because that's it. I mean, they don't have nobody to go to have money given to them.
The feds have spent a staggering $357 billion on disaster recovery in the last 10 years. Congress now is looking at ways to reduce that. One is limiting coverage for areas that flood repeatedly, leaving the homeowner paying more.
Them going up on senior citizens is terrible, since this state usually guards senior citizens from all kinds of problems.
Some estimated damages from Irma expected to top near $65 billion. Well, the end of November signals the end of hurricane season 2017, and no doubt it's a season many of us will never forget. As our community recovers from the first major hurricane to hit Southwest Florida in more than a decade, we invite you to join us as we look back at the coverage, the aftermath, and the recovery. Hurricane Irma, A Storm to Remember, airs Saturday night at 7 right here on NBC2.
In a rally against fracking, today Lee County residents will create a mock oil spill at Old Lee County Courthouse using a fake oil rig. Residents are hoping the mock oil spill will raise awareness of the threat fracking would pose to Florida's drinking water and economy. This will start at 5 p.m. this afternoon. Right now, Fort Myers Beach, Bonita Springs, Cape Coral, and Estero have resolutions that ban fracking. Red tide is showing up in Lee County during one of the busiest weeks of the year. The latest tests from the Florida Fish and Wildlife show high levels of the algae bloom in 11 samples across Lee County shores. Red tide, it can cause breathing problems, itchy eyes, and kills fish. All things that could spell disaster for local tourism this Thanksgiving weekend. Visitors we talked to say they haven't noticed any symptoms, but did notice a change in the water.
I would have came out because I'm fishing anyway, but if I would have family, I probably wouldn't have bring them out.
Tourists could flock to Florida this Thanksgiving week as AAA expects seasonal travelers to avoid other destinations still affected by Hurricane Irma.
Now to an NBC2 crime alert. Mailboxes smashed and vandals spray painting curse words on cars. This was in a neighborhood and it was a nightmare for some folks in Lehigh over the weekend off of Homestead Road and Andros Street. Witnesses say a group of teens were driving ATVs recklessly through their area, damaging property in their path. 5 neighbors reporting vandalism, all within walking distance. Neighbors are now fearing that the people responsible could only escalate if they aren't caught soon.
We have to pay for that. And every time they want to break it, we have to buy every time a new one.
Over the weekend, NBC2 also told you about someone spray painting inappropriate images on a nearby playground at the Veterans Community Park. The Lee County Sheriff's Office is not saying whether the vandalism cases are connected.
Today, the Collier County Sheriff's Office will take to the skies to test out its new helicopter. Testing will take place at 10 o'clock this morning at the Sheriff's Office Special Operations Building in Naples. The helicopter costs $400,000 but can be used to search and rescue and fight wildfires. It can also lower deputies directly instead of authorities requesting a different helicopter or directing units by ground.
The U.S. Justice Department is suing to block the $85 billion merger between AT&T and Time Warner. That move has set the stage for what is expected to be a big legal battle. While the DOJ has called the potential deal illegal and, quote, harmful to consumers, AT&T officials say it falls within the accepted bounds of previous vertical mergers and that there are legal precedents to support that view.
Today is the last day to apply for a seat on the Sanibel City Council. This is for a partial term, which will end on April 2nd of next year. The seat opened up after former City Council member Jim Jennings resigned. Applicants must be city residents and registered to vote. The deadline to submit an application is at noon today.
A costly mistake that could run a popular ride-sharing app right off the road. Uber has been fined almost $9 million after Colorado investigators found that 57 of its drivers should have failed a criminal background check. 12 of those drivers had felony convictions. 17 had major moving violations. 3 were charged for DUI, and dozens had driver's license issues, and 1 repeat offender had even escaped from the Colorado Department of Corrections at one point.
There were violent offenders in there, and there were also people whose license had been revoked because of DUI, and they were letting those people drive anyway, and they knew it. The best thing would be for Uber to change its business practice and require its drivers to have fingerprint background checks. Then I think they could do away with this issue.
An Uber spokesperson says the company is working to fix the errors in its background check process and that the drivers mentioned in the investigation are no longer driving with the company.
Authorities say they captured a 6-foot crocodile that came ashore on a Florida beach. It showed up on Hollywood Beach Monday morning. It was finally captured by wildlife officers in the afternoon. Lifeguards had to keep beachgoers and onlookers at a safe distance most of the day. Officials say it will be evaluated, tagged, and released into a more suitable habitat. It did not want to go.
No.
I mean,
I like the ocean.
I've seen gators on the beach, especially here locally. Never a crocodile.
They're around.
That's right. All right, 6:21. forecast, a little bit of rain we're tracking right now.
Yeah, some noticeable changes today. We've got rain on the move, moving from our inland areas out closer to the coast, and some more changes as we get closer to Thanksgiving. We'll start with the rain that we have out there this morning. Now, most of this is pretty light, but occasionally you can see some areas shaded in the yellows and even some reds out there over western sections of Hendry County and also over portions of Lehigh Acres. Most of the rain we're tracking pushing into western parts of Lehigh, closer to Gunnery Road, out around the Gateway community, not too far from there. Stony Brook and Gateway, you can see some rain right on your doorstep. All of it's expanding out to the northwest at about 15 miles per hour, so it's closing in on locations closer to I-75 out toward the Forum, and we'll continue to see all this push out closer to Fort Myers and even sections of Cape Coral and other parts of southwest Florida as we head through the morning. And I'll give you a breakdown on the timeline of when this rain arrives coming up at 6:30. For travel weather over the next few days, if you have any plans to travel anywhere across the U.S., this is great to see. This is the weather alert map. Usually it's popping up with all kinds of colors. We have one weather alert over southern Wyoming, and that is a winter weather advisory. And it's going to stay much like this across the U.S. as we head through the next couple days. Really, the Pacific Northwest is the main trouble spot, and right here in southwest Florida, things will get more interesting for us. Through the day tomorrow, we'll be watching to the west. Now, a lot of the rain will stay in the Gulf of Mexico on Wednesday, and this low pressure area in the Gulf, which is non-tropical, we're not concerned with any kind of tropical development, but it is evolving a little bit more slowly, and that's going to delay the rain a little bit. So instead of the rain coming in on Thursday morning, it looks like late on Thanksgiving into Friday is when we're going to see the best rain chances here in southwest Florida. So this is Friday night at 8 o'clock, and then once that moves out for the weekend, the forecast is going to look great on Saturday and Sunday. But the Thanksgiving Day forecast, a little dicey, especially late in the day. The morning should be relatively quiet and temperatures on the way up into the upper 70s. We'll check in on some of this rain pushing through southwest Florida ahead at 6:30.
Traffic on NBC2 is sponsored by O'Brien Auto Park on the corner of Colonial and Metro. Or visit o'brieneasy.com.
Just heard Jason mention rain in parts of southwest Florida and Lee County by Lehigh Acres by Gunnery Road. We're taking a look at State Road 82 westbound where we see that normal morning volume traffic building. This is westbound from Alabama Road to the Daniels Parkway Gunnery Road intersection. Delays are around 6 minutes at this time. Speeds down to 13 miles per hour, especially around the Shawnee Road area as you get to that Gunnery Road intersection. So just be aware that this will slow you down this morning like it does every morning. 23rd Street Southwest is a good alternative to get to Gunnery Road if you want to avoid that. But just be cautious with the rain out there. I'm Amanda Scripcheck with your NBC2 Traffic Alert.
6:24, what a story. New this morning, NBC2 has the video that shows a family swimming for their lives here at sea after their boat caught fire right in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. Look at that. A Cape Coral man, though, was on board the Key West Express that was just happened to be nearby when he took this recording on Monday. The captain said they had to stop because of that distressed boat nearby. The family was forced to jump off of their boat and into the rough waves.
Scary for us because, you got such a big boat such as the Key West Express and him trying to maneuver around to pick these people up.
Well, they were able to pick him up, and once again, thankfully the boat was coming by at the same time. The family is now back safe and sound in Sarasota this morning.
Many cameras were on the Georgia Dome as it imploded, but one Weather Channel photographer was unfortunately unlucky. A MARTA bus ended up blocking his shot right as the dome imploded. The bus wasn't simply passing through, it stopped. It sat there for 15 seconds. But that was more than enough for the Weather Channel camera to miss the whole shebang. Better luck next time.
That is hilarious.
Oh, what are the chances?
Gotta love live TV.
The MARTA bus, that's seen everywhere now, too. It's like in memes now coming through. We've all shot cameras, and you have that one time you're like, no, what do you do? You're in my shot.
Maybe it's product placement. This implosion brought to you by MARTA.
The MARTA bus.
It was successful, that's sure. All right, 6:26 right now, coming up in just about 20 minutes. These barricades are going up this morning to keep people from illegally dumping at a Cape Coral site.
More credit card skimmers found in southwest Florida ahead at 6:30. One man's warning for people leaving town for the holiday.
And we are keeping an eye on a moving system this morning. NBC2 weather expert Jason Dunning explains the early morning showers you could see at 6:30.
Starting off with a lot of green this morning on the NBC2 First Alert Live Doppler radar. Rain expanding into parts of Lee County. I'll put a timeline of when this rain arrives where you are in your forecast on the 2s.
Crooks working overtime.
Very hard to believe. You wouldn't think it'd be that concentrated in one area.
Just ahead of the busiest travel holiday, more skimmers popping up in Cape Coral.
Dramatic new video giving a glimpse of the danger and heroism after a dangerous fire tears down a senior citizen's home.
Piles of junk.
Hopefully it won't start to stink and create health problems for us.
Now barricades go up in Cape Coral to crack down on illegal dumping.
Live, the news you count on. NBC2 News Today.
6:30 now on your Tuesday morning. Couple of days now from Thanksgiving. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for watching us here at NBC2 News Today. I'm Clay Miller.
And I'm Rachel Pierce. Meteorologist Jason Dunning has been telling us for days, expect rain leading up to and around Thanksgiving. And here it is. Let's send it over to Jason now. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. A lot of the rain you see out there right now is along and east of the interstate and out across our inland zones. Lake Okeechobee, we've got some heavier rain. No thunderstorms right now, but a lot of this light rain is pushing over closer to the coast, over parts of Lee County. In fact, as we look in over Lehigh Acres through the last hour, we've seen some rain over central Lehigh along Joel Boulevard, rain picking up a little bit more in intensity along Lee Boulevard out toward Gunnery Road. We have mostly just some light rain. You can see it's on the move pretty quickly, pushing up to the west and northwest at about 15 miles per hour, heading out toward the Forum and I-75, Colonial Boulevard. And we'll continue to see this rain expand over toward portions of North Fort Myers, even as far west as Cape Coral as we head through the next couple of hours. So here's a timeline. Arborwood, Miramar Lakes in the next 5 minutes. We're going to see some areas of light rain move in. The Forum closer to 640. San Carlos Park around 642. And Fort Myers around 652, getting closer to 7 a.m. And then between 7 and 8 o'clock, some of this rain will hold together. It's going to be scattered over portions of Cape Coral and likely not too heavy. So this is not going to be a major deal, but you're likely going to run into a few showers out there for your morning commute, especially over portions of Lee County. From mid to late morning, a lot of this rain will start to diminish. 12 o'clock, we're partly sunny, temperatures in the upper 70s. We will see more cloud cover through the day today, and one thing I'm sure you'll notice as you're walking out this morning, it is feeling a bit more humid, so that's another change in our forecast, and there are more changes on the way, especially as we get closer to Thanksgiving. Tomorrow's looking like a pretty quiet weather day, but it's all about this low in the Gulf of Mexico that could mean some wetter weather for us for Thanksgiving and on into Friday. We'll talk more about the long-range forecast for the upcoming holiday and your forecast on the 2s.
Checking the roads in Collier County, and right now the roads are looking great. Our traffic models are showing delays are less than a minute and no issues by the Highway Patrol or Sheriff's Office. Taking a look at traffic in Charlotte County, and same deal here. No major delays or issues to report on the roads. That's your NBC2 Traffic Alert.
And NBC2 Crime Alert. Crooks are trying to cash in on your dime while you leave town for the holidays. Cape Coral detectives found 3 more card skimmers at one gas station. This at the mobile 7-Eleven near Pine Island Road and Santa Barbara Boulevard. NBC2's Jesse Pagan is up with the NBC2 live news tracker explaining what one of the victims says happened to them. Jesse.
Yeah, Rachel, this one man says he filled up his tank here with his card Friday morning and shortly after knew that the crooks had skimmed his information. Those Cape Coral detectives found the 3 skimmers on several of these pumps here at this gas station. The man tells us he filled up that morning, and by Friday afternoon, his bank sent him an alert that crooks were trying to use his money 150 miles away in Miami. Of course, that man was still here in Cape Coral. He says fraud isn't anything new to him, but the sting is worse during the holidays.
It's the holidays and people don't need to have stuff taken from them.
Very hard to believe. You wouldn't think it'd be that concentrated in one area, and this is a pretty good area.
Now, those 3 new skimmers make 9 total in Lee County in 2017. 5 of those here in Cape Coral in just about a week or 2. Now, those skimmers, of course, are out of the pumps and taken away by police detectives for testing and for part of their investigation. Managers here at the station declined to comment to us for our story. Live in Cape Coral this morning, Jesse Pagan, NBC2.
Travel company AAA projects nearly 60 million Americans will journey 50 miles or more this Thanksgiving. In Florida, 2.6 million will travel 50 miles or more.
We have some new security video to show you of the rescue effort after a massive fire ripped through a senior citizens community outside of Philadelphia. This security camera video shows the fast-moving fire fanned by wind. The 5-alarm fire broke out in the back of a building late Thursday. An all-volunteer fire force raced there to rescue residents from the engulfed personal care wing, bringing 133 people to safety, many with physical or mental impairments, but 4 people remain missing.
Cancer rates are on the rise for firefighters. That's according to the Florida Cancer Support Network. Last year, cancer was responsible for 70% of deaths for career firefighters. The Estero Fire District just spent about $80,000 to install engine exhaust removal systems at all 4 of their stations. It will keep those deadly gases out of their gear and from getting into their living quarters. The fire chief tells us keeping their crews healthy can save taxpayer money in the long run.
6:35 today, Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to call our president. On Monday, the Russian president had a surprise meeting with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Putin says he will call the White House and other leaders about the Syrian civil war, which is now heading into its 5th bloody year. Putin's team has not said when the call with President Donald Trump would take place.
At the start of the new year, Punta Gorda will have a new police chief. The city manager selected Pamela Davis. Right now, Davis works for the Baltimore Police Department. Davis will start January 2nd. The city manager fired then Chief Tom Lewis back in August. An internal investigation revealed that safety protocols were not in place during a deadly training exercise. Former Officer Lee Cole accidentally shot and killed retired librarian Mary Knowlton during a demonstration more than a year ago. New right now, the company hired to restore energy back to Puerto Rico is halting its efforts. So far, only about half of the island has power. Whitefish Energy pulled the plug due to financial issues. Their contract originally ended December 1st. The CEO of Whitefish says the Puerto Rico Electric Power Authority owes $83 million.
We were never getting paid on a weekly basis of what we were spending. So at some point we had to stop.
Government says the official death toll is 55 hurricane-related deaths, but a CNN investigation reveals the death toll could be nearly 500 deaths due to Hurricane Maria.
And new from overnight, Argentina's Navy says sounds detected are not from a missing submarine. The submarine was last heard from on Wednesday. It went missing in the South Atlantic. Storms complicated efforts to find the vessels and its 44 crew members. More than a dozen boats and an aircraft from Argentina, the United States, Britain, and other countries have joined the search effort. 44 crew members are on board.
2 attorneys, more than 450 plaintiffs, and many lawsuits. The lawsuits have been filed over the deadly mass shooting in Las Vegas, with attorneys saying concert security was not enough to protect attendees. There are 2 wrongful death lawsuits for families of 2 people who were killed, as well as others including negligence claims against MGM Resorts, concert organizers, and the estate of shooter Stephen Paddock. The plaintiffs want their cases to be heard in California. The sister of slain actress Deborah Tate will speak about the pain cult leader Charles Manson and his followers caused.
It's very difficult to wrap one's head around the possibility that any of these people, being the vicious, heinous criminals that they are and were, having the possibility to walk among us free.
Sharon Tate was 8 months pregnant when she was murdered by members of the Manson family. The murders sent shockwaves of fear throughout the country. Today, Deborah Tate will sit down with Dr. Oz about one of the Manson family members, Leslie Van Houten, that might walk free soon. You can watch the interview right here on NBC2 at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
A high-pressure gas line fire in a suburb of Detroit threw a massive pillar of flames into the night sky. The high-pressure leak also caused a loud roar that came out of the gas line last night. A spokesperson for Consumers Energy said they are shutting down the line and will let the fire just burn itself out. So far, no injuries have been reported.
A prize with hopeful parents in mind.
Ahead at 6:47, the local radio station offering the chance to win a baby.
Taking advantage of debris drop-off sites, how Cape Coral is working to stop illegal dumping. That's coming up.
It's been a while since we've seen this. Rain on the NBC2. First Alert Live Doppler radar. I'm tracking the rain, especially some of the heavier rain as it builds up toward portions of Charlotte County. That's ahead in your First Alert forecast on the 2s, plus some changes for the Thanksgiving Day forecast coming up at 6:42. Here at 642 Lehigh Acres, one of the places across Lee County seeing the most rain at this point. A little bit of this light, patchy rain will build in over toward portions of Fort Myers and North Fort Myers. As we go through the next 1 to 2 hours, could even see a little bit of light rain affecting areas closer to Cape Coral. The rain this morning is not going to be a huge deal for those of us over sections of Collier County. In fact, it looks like most of the rain will miss us from Bonita Springs, Naples, and Marco Island. We're still going to start off with some cloud cover this morning, and some of the heavier rain moving in over LaBelle right now, crossing over the Caloosahatchee and State Road 80. That is working up through sections of Charlotte County, so even up around Punta Gorda, around the Vermont area. As we get closer to 8 and 9 o'clock this morning, you can see the Punta Gorda, the estimated time of just after 8 o'clock. We'll be watching some of this rain lift northward. And then the second half of the day will be relatively quiet. We'll still see some extra cloud cover around it. You'll notice humidity levels a bit higher compared to what we saw yesterday. Temperatures making it up into the 80s. And notice how the rain really starts to fade away as we get closer to the lunch hour. Now, for the second half of the day this afternoon, we still could see a few pop-up showers, but staying pretty isolated. There's a few cells popping up here in our latest high-resolution forecast model, but looking generally quiet as we head through this evening and overnight tonight. And Wednesday is going to be sort of a transition day for us as we watch the developing weather system in the Gulf of Mexico, which will move in on Thanksgiving Day. And the timing of this has changed a little bit. So it looks like for the second half of Thanksgiving, that's when we're likely going to see the most widespread rain and some of the highest rain chances, and some of this will overlap and linger into Friday. I've got a brand new forecast model showing how this low will develop in the Gulf of Mexico and when the rain moves in. We'll show you that and walk through it together coming up in your forecast on the 2s at 6:52.
Traffic on NBC2 is sponsored by O'Brien Auto Park on the corner of Colonial and Metro, or visit o'brieneasy.com.
Do not take Orange River Boulevard this morning. I actually just got off the phone with the Lee County Sheriff's Office, and they tell me that deputies have Orange River Boulevard shut down at Staley Road because of a crash with injuries. LCSO says deputies are directing traffic off Orange River Boulevard to Staley Road. So if you're heading westbound, use Buckingham Road to get onto Palm Beach Boulevard. That's through this way. If you're heading eastbound, you can take Palm Beach Boulevard. Otherwise, you're going to have to take Staley Road all the way to Tice Street to get back to Palm Beach Boulevard. I'm at Script Check with your NBC2 traffic alert.
Time is 6:44 from your Cape Coral News team. Piles of mattresses, kitchen cabinets, and even toilets are somewhere in that mess there. Even at the Irma debris site of Skyline Boulevard, and that pile continues to grow this morning. And now neighbors are questioning whether all this debris is actually from Hurricane Irma. NBC2's Megan Bragg is live at that site now, where employees there say people have been illegally dumping the trash. Megan?
Good morning, Clay. Well, site employees tell us they expect a truck to come here this morning to take some of that debris you can see behind me. We want you to take a look at our mass cam right now. We are seeing at least 6 mattresses by this little spot in that pile you can see right there. And that's because we're told some people are trying to sneak on this site at night and drop their stuff.
Hurricane Irma is still going on for some of us.
Nearly 3 months after Hurricane Irma, and Brian Janowitz is still feeling the effects from the storm.
FEMA is supposed to finally show up and meet us to look at the house.
While FEMA is taking a look at his damage, he sees the city's damage from Irma just by looking out his front window.
We feel like we live across from a dump now. It has grown greatly in the last 2 weeks.
I estimated that there would be 6,000 cubic yards, and we're pushing right at 10,000 cubic yards. We're maybe a little bit above that.
Cape Coral Storm Cleanup Project Manager Jay Brooks says that's just household debris and believes some have dumped on this site after they closed up shop.
They were dumping where we're not able to see them.
And to stop people from bringing in their non-Irma debris, the site has recently put in these barricades around parts of the property.
If we catch them coming in, we go to the citizen, we would let them know that this is just for the contractor drop-off. That is us. And then we ask them to please take it to the Lee County landfill.
Most of the household debris is supposed to be fences, roofing, and pool cages, but the site is seeing other objects like furniture.
I think that's wrong because there are some victims that actually suffered like us, and you know, there are places where they can take debris instead of dumping it illegally.
Now, this site is for those contractors going around the city picking up that debris. Another reason they don't want you on this site is because of these massive trucks that are running throughout the site all day. It's really a safety issue, and they don't want anyone getting hurt. This site and debris pickup is expected to end in January. Reporting in Cape Coral, Megan Bragg, NBC2.
And site employees are evaluating if they need to add another water truck to decrease the dust from the debris site. Some neighbors around the site located along Skyline Boulevard, where Megan is, are complaining about increased dust in the area. The Cape Coral Storm Project Manager tells us they do have a water truck on site that sprays every 3 hours to decrease the dust in the area. They will also spray if they see an increased amount of dust throughout the day.
I have 11 grandkids, but I don't have none from Natasha. Natasha will be a great mom. She deserves this.
You just heard from one contestant hoping to win a baby. B1039 is giving away a free round of in vitro fertilization. The treatment is extremely pricey. On average, the cost of a basic cycle ranges from $12,000 to $15,000. Morning show host Big Mama came up with the idea after he and his wife went through the IVF cycle.
We've given away cash, we've given away all kinds of things, but to give away the gift of IVF is an amazing giveaway, the biggest one I've ever done.
And for a link to enter the contest, visit our website, NBC2.com. You have until midnight on Friday to submit a video entry. The top 10 finalists will be announced on December 4th.
That's pretty cool. A White House tradition continues today. President Donald Trump with the pardon of the National Thanksgiving Turkey, or turkeys, and Rose Garden ceremony. This is drumstick and wishbone. I'm not sure which one's wishbone, which one's drumstick, but they're both there. They're both from Minnesota, and after the ceremony, they will live out their lives at Virginia Tech University. The Hokies, by the way. This marks the 70th anniversary of the lighthearted event. The first family is also going to donate 2 packaged turkeys to charity. President Trump is set to spend Thanksgiving, too, at his Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach. They have no idea.
No. How lucky they are. Yeah.
Looks like they were living quite the life. Had their own hotel room, the red carpet rolled out.
They're calling us
watching
drumstick
football
and wishbone, and we're in this hotel. Just go with it. Just go with it. It's good.
Yeah. Enjoy the mini bar while you can.
There
Right?
you go.
All right. 5:49 is your time right now. Just ahead, we're going to explain how residents in Island Park are demanding something be done about their flooding problem.
Yeah, we have some rain, too, on the radar. NBC2 meteorologist Jason Dunning will be back with your first alert forecast on the 2s, getting you ready for this Tuesday. Stay with us.
6:52, noticeable change today. We have rain on the radar. This time yesterday, we were starting off with temperatures in the 50s with low humidity, but the moisture and rain chances creeping back into the forecast. Now, the lion's share of the rain is on the other side of I-75 out across our inland areas, and some of this actually a little bit on the heavier side. We're not watching any thunderstorms right now, but a heavy burst of rain around LaBelle along State Road 80. That's lifting up to the north and northwest. Mostly some light rain from Alva to Lehigh Acres around Buckingham. We've got a few light patchy showers around the Gateway area. These showers will likely continue to work out closer to I-75, and for portions of Fort Myers and North Fort Myers, we're going to see some areas of light rain. But this bigger batch of rain mostly working up to the north and west toward portions of eastern Charlotte County. So this is our 1-hour futurecast. We'll put the radar into motion through the next 60 minutes. You can see rain closer to Lake Okeechobee, up around Palmdale, heading up through DeSoto County, and starting to dry out for those of us closer to the coast, especially over portions of Lee County as we get closer to the mid to late morning. And then a lot of the rain will begin to fade away. Humidity levels a bit higher compared to this time yesterday. That's one change you'll notice. We'll see more cloud cover out there as well, with temperatures up to around 83 degrees. But the big focus this week is on a developing area of low pressure in the Gulf of Mexico. The timing has changed a little bit from yesterday. Now it looks like it's moving a little bit more slowly. So that means our best rain chances on Thanksgiving Day likely coming later in the day into Thursday night and even into Friday. You can see that low just kind of sits and spins for a couple of days and then eventually gets another kick by a developing weather system that will take it through the Florida Peninsula through the day Friday, which means the weekend outlook is shaping up pretty nice for us. In fact, we're even going to see a push of cooler weather, 70s on Saturday and Sunday, but the potential is there for some rain, even some thunderstorms from late Thursday into Friday. That's your NBC2 First Alert Forecast.
Traffic on NBC2 is sponsored by O'Brien Auto Park on the corner of Colonial and Metro. Or visit o'brieneasy.com.
I'm keeping my eye on a crash at Staley Road and Orange River Boulevard where deputies are are at involving injuries. You can see that there are some delays building westbound on Orange River Boulevard. Those are under 5 minutes according to our traffic models. There is a roadblock in place and deputies are directing traffic onto Staley Road. So just be aware that this will slow you down. Try Palm Beach Boulevard or Buckingham Road as alternates. Also up in Charlotte County, the Highway Patrol is reporting there is a disabled vehicle at mile marker 170, also the Kings Highway exit. Just use caution if you're driving in the area, especially with that vehicle on the side of the road. That's your NBC2 traffic alert.
6:55 right now. Breaking news this morning. Several deputies were on scene of a possible attempt to steal a semi-truck in Fort Myers. Our crews watched as a K-9 unit combed the area on East Street near I-75 in Fort Myers. NBC2 crews also saw deputies dusting the semi-truck for fingerprints while a chopper flew above the area. No one is in custody at this time, but police continue to investigate.
There's a new mayor in charge of Cape Coral this morning. Joe Coviello and 3 new council members were sworn in Monday night. Right now, the office of the mayor is still under investigation by FDLE. Coviello says he does not want that investigation to overshadow his efforts. People living in the Island Park community are trying to prevent a future flooding. Today, those community members will try to put pressure on Lee County. This morning, they'll be heading to County Commission meeting with signs demonstrating the need to fight the floods. And all this week, they're asking other residents to take action.
An urban debris site has turned into a junkyard. Employees say some people are coming to the area along Skyline Boulevard and dumping their trash. Cape Coral has now put up some barricades, hopefully to stop it. Site employees say they are keeping people out of the area for safety reasons as well. Debris pickup is expected to end by this year. And be on the lookout this morning in Cape Coral. Detectives found 3 more card skimmers at 1 gas station. This is at the mobile 7-Eleven near Pine Island Road and Santa Barbara Boulevard. A total of 9 found in Lee County this year alone. Around 5 skimmers found in Cape Coral in about a week. Managers there have declined to comment.
Lehigh Acres out toward Gateway, looking at some rain, especially around LaBelle. This lifting up to the northwest. So if you live west of 75, closer to Cape Coral, down through Iona, Sanibel area, a lot of this rain will end up missing you. I think the lion's share of it's going to be along and east of I-75 through the morning.
Jason will be tracking it all morning. We're going to send it out to the Today Show, but keep it right here on NBC2.